Awesome. Well, Alyssa, thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast. Mike and I saw a few news articles, most recently in CBS News, that you've recently completed, well, I don't know how recent it is. Maybe it was in 2020, but you completed 95 marathons back-to-back. Consecutive 95 freaking marathons back-to-back. So nuts. What the heck made you start that?
So really it was a combination of things. So my husband's military, so we were actually stationed over in Italy at the time, and everything was getting canceled. So I was signed up. I'm an ultra runner by trade, and I had all these awesome races lined up. We were actually moving from Italy back to the States, and so I was like, I'm going to hit it hard, like iconic European races, let's go. And then, it didn't happen. Everything started getting canceled. So I was like, what do I do with all of this endurance and training that I've kind of built up? Like, I don't want to just, I don't know. I needed a challenge, but I also didn't want something where it was like a one-off, where if I did it and then I have to recover and then I'm sitting, like we're sitting in our house and not being able, so in Italy, we couldn't even go outside. Like, can't go outside, can't live normal life. So I just randomly was like, what if I run a marathon every day? And I thought it would just be until we could go outside and kind of live a little bit more normally, which is going to be about 14 days. And then it got extended and it took off. Yeah, it just kept going.
So you were an ultra marathoner before you ventured off into running these consecutive marathons. How long have you been running ultras?
I've been running ultras, I guess, almost 7 years now. So I started like right out of college. When I was 22, I ran my first 100 miler was Hurt 100, and I was 23.
Damn.
So pretty, jumped into the big leagues pretty quickly. I've been running and racing consistently since then. And I also come from a bit of an endurance background in high school and college. I wasn't a college runner, but I was a lacrosse player. And during the summers, I would always get invested in like long trail runs or triathlons. So I think that kind of consistency of training really helped a lot. So
when you started doing the ultras, was it? I feel like it may have not been as mainstream as it is now. How did you get to finding it?
It was not as mainstream. It's insane to me how, like, when I first started doing ultras, people barely knew about it, and now it's like, oh, you're an ultra runner, like, cool, yeah. Like, I did a 50K, or I did David Goggins challenge. You're like, wow, this is exploded, instead of just being looked at like you're a psycho. So let's see. How did I get into it? I read Ultramarathon Man when I was like 10 years old.
What? And
I know. Yeah. I'm an English teacher, so I guess I really love reading. And my family, so my dad's was a triathlete and marathon runner. My mom's done like crazy endurance stuff, like biking across the country, biking across Europe, sailing around the world. Like, it makes sense. So I don't know why they bought that book, and they probably regret it slightly now. But I read it as a kid, and I hated running at the time. I like field sports all day, but just running, no way. But something about it connected with me, and I was like, I want to do that one day. And so I had said I want to run a marathon when I graduate college, just to stay in shape. And I kind of discovered through triathlons that I really only liked the running part. I was like, hey, they make these things called running races. Maybe I should just do that. And so I don't exactly know why, but I skipped the marathon and went straight to a 50K.
Wow.
And followed Hal Higdon's training plan in the back of the book for a 50K, and was like, all right. I followed it like it's like to the mileage. It was really, I'm a pretty, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I'm the most organized or structured person, but I was just like, if I follow this mileage, I should be able to finish. And it ended up, my first 50K ended up going really well. And I just kind of fell in love with it and realized, like, oh, when it gets like the distance gets longer, that seems to be kind of my jam. So yeah, let's keep going further.
And this book is called 100 Mile Man. What did you say?
Or Ultra Marathon Man.
Ultra Marathon
Dean
Man.
Karnassus's book.
So
This podcast episode is brought to you by BCN Supplements. Mike and I have teamed up with BCN and we're so excited about it. Now, if you're new to the fitness world or you're just starting to get in, BCN has legitimately everything you're looking for. Whether you want healthier hair, skin, nails, if you want to get a good pre-workout drink, or if you want a vitamin, BCN has what you need. One of their products I love is their collagen mix. It's legitimately so easy to use. I know what you're thinking, why is a guy taking collagen? But it helps with everything. Muscle recovery, muscle mass. It helps with your hair, skin elasticity, and you can take it with anything. You can put it in water. You can put it in pancake mix. I take protein pancake mix, so I like to use it in that. Or you can put it in coffee if you're on the go. Just one scoop is all you need, and you're going to help your hair, your skin, muscle mass, your joints, everything. Head to bcnsubs.com to place your order today, and be sure to use CWJM to receive a whopping 10% off your next purchase. And be sure to check them out on Instagram at BCN Supplements. BCN Supplements, helping build a better you from the inside out.
in that book, reading it, what just stuck out to you that really motivated you and gave you the courage and confidence to actually do one?
I think there was something really appealing about the way that he described just being able to see so much territory on your own 2 feet. I think there's something really special about the connection you make to the places that you go when you discover them on foot. And I think that really stood out to me. Also, just the group of people that he found. Community is really important to me in ultra running. It always has been. And so I think him kind of describing this niche group of people, and now it's gotten bigger, but at the time was pretty small. I think that also appealed to me. And I think that there's something that's incredibly exciting. And I don't know if I fully realized it, when I was that young, but I think there's something really exciting about like, how far can you go? How far can you push these boundaries of like impossible? And so I think that just really, it really stood out to me. So
what is the total mileage for 95 marathons back to back?
It is like,
I figured
it's like 2,400.
God.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost, I think, across the U.S. I think it's pretty close.
That's crazy.
And he's looking.
Yeah, I'm gonna look
and throughout this process, I mean, it had to have been your life pretty much for a while. I bet you had some tough days where you're like, why am I doing this anymore? And just kind of like, I don't know, I'd imagine so. And it's such a routine. Did you wake up every morning at the same time to start? What was the process of getting these things knocked out?
Yeah, so it did vary a little bit. So added in a bit of a wrinkle to everything is that we were moving across the world back to the United States. So my routine in Italy also changed from like primarily treadmills to running outside when we were allowed to. I, at the time, worked for the fitness division of the Navy. So my work was literally just going in and hanging out. And so I was like, I might as well utilize this time. So that when it was that kind of phase, I would generally try to start between like 7:30 and 8 and then, finish. Generally, it took me between anywhere from like a fast one would be right around 4 hours to my slowest one was like almost 5 hours, but right around like anywhere from 4:10 to like 4:20 to 25 was kind of my sweet spot. And so, it was just kind of like, the morning's work, get done mid to late morning and eat some food, take a shower, eat some more food. If I was lucky, because at the time with COVID, I mean, there wasn't a lot to do, especially in Italy. So it was like, might as well, uses up some energy. I have a lot of energy, so it could be channeled into like anxiety about not being able to do anything, or it could be channeled into running a marathon. So that was kind of how it was. And then when we had to travel, that kind of changed things up. And then when we were moving to Florida for my husband to go to a Navy school, and I had to start at like 5:30 in the morning because it's so dang hot in Florida.
Oh, you bet. So, we're in Texas, so we're basically the same climate now. I can't imagine.
Yeah, so that shifted things a lot earlier in the day, for sure. Like motivation to get out, not dying at 10 o'clock in the morning. So,
and you, so was there a certain number when you knew you had it, or did you know you were going to do that amount, or did you just keep going until you didn't want to do it no more?
It was kind of a combination of things. So like I said, originally thought it would be like 14 or so. And then it ended up just kind of kept going because we were still super locked down. Then at like 25, I had a friend mention like, maybe you should look at the record. So I looked at the record, which was 60. And at that point, you're like, I'm halfway. Okay. Like, so at that right around 30, I was like, I think I'm going to go for it. But that was also, so we were moving right in the 50s. So I was just like, there's no way logistically this is going to work. Like somebody's going to get messed up because it's the Navy too. So like everything changes all the time. And it just like, we figured it out. My husband's a saint. And so then I was going to do 65, but then it turned into 75. And then, so the reason, then I was like, I'm going to do 100 and I'm going to stop at 100 because I did want to stop and I did want to start training. Like I wanted to recover and then train for other races in the fall. And so the reason for 95 is actually that my husband ended up getting COVID from someone who he worked with and he gave it to me. So at like 93-ish, I was like, I feel really bad. Like this, either my body is just saying, nah, we're good, or there's something more happening. So when I started not being able to taste anything, getting really nauseous and just feeling like, wow, I am messed up. I had always said, I'm going to stop if I really start feeling like medically bad, because we don't need to have me putting myself in a rough spot because of these dumb marathons and we're in a global pandemic. So on 96, I ran 8 miles and was like, this is not good. So I stopped. And it was 95. So
that's really impressive. What was like some of the recovery things that you were doing after you ran? Like what I imagine, I think the most Mike and I are pretty avid runners. So we did like a 10K for every day for a week. I think that was like intense.
We thought that was cool.
And then I ran, I did 100 miles in a week, which was a lot for me. And at the end of it, I was wrecked. So I can't imagine running 26 miles for, more than twice. Like, so what kind of things were you doing to help yourself recuperate?
So I feel like this is always a really disappointing answer for people because I'm like, I came up with the magical solution. I did not have this like magical formula or anything. Yeah. I wish, I'd be marketing that for sure. Like put on this, I don't know, whatever.
You remind me, like, I think women just really excel at ultra long distance running. You kind of remind me of like the Courtney Dauwalter types, like, oh, I eat nachos and I drink beer during my race. Is that what you were doing when you get finished? Like,
come on.
Well, thanks for the comparison. She's like a hero of mine. So, no, I really didn't drink too much alcohol.
But you did?
I don't really drink that. No, I actually talked to I have a coach and I was like, hey, so I'm burning all these calories. Like, is it okay to kind of supplement a little bit? Glass or two of wine. He's like, probably not the best idea. I was like, cool, okay. So, just try to keep it reasonable. But honestly, I chalk it up to like sleep is incredibly important. It's probably one of your best recovery tools. So there just wasn't that much to do. So it's like, we can go to bed early, get up early. And then I had time most days to take like a 30-minute nap in the afternoon. proper nutrition, making sure you're getting in just a lot of calories, good proteins, carbs, fats. I did try, I wasn't going out in the afternoon after doing it and being like, I'm going to go walk like 5 miles just for fun. The rest of my life was a lot harder. I was definitely tired. And so it'd be like flight of stairs. No. So I definitely, the rest of my life activity level was down a lot. And then like, honestly, I chalk a lot of it also up to the fact that I did it I started when I was 26 and then turned 27 in the middle of it. And gosh, it's a lot easier when you're in your 20s, to recover. I think your body's just naturally like, yeah, bounce back. And so I think, if I tried it at a later age, I think I would have to be a whole lot more careful with recovery than I was. But yeah, I mean, sleep and eating enough and hanging out the rest of the time really were the biggest things.
That is very, that's much a depressing answer. I was hoping I was doing the Theragun on my leg and stretching, foam rolling.
That's the DeWalter answer though. It's like, there's nothing to it. It's funny too, cause you're a teacher and I think she was a history teacher.
Yeah, she was a teacher.
And so that's kind of a weird correlation that you both got into. And I think she got in pretty young as well. So that's funny.
Yeah. Coming out there, if you want another runner,
go teach first.
Yeah,
and you'll want to run away from that so bad you'll run miles for it. So no injuries at all, no little tweaks or anything that kind of held you back on some of these marathons?
Yeah, so I did right around the 50s. I started to have what was, I think, headed in the direction of a quad tear. So I did work with a physio kind of remotely. He was a friend of mine, and she was like we had KT tape on it. I was icing it and doing icy hot on that. And I focused, there was a track at this point we could run outside, and there was a track where I was living. Like the military, you're in your house and you move on to base and then you fly. And so on base, I had access to a track, and the softer surface really helped me. I think I was like very religious about sticking to that when it was bothering me. But somehow within, like 3 to 4 days of really babying it and really taking care of it, I managed to pull it back, which I wasn't sure if I could do that. But luckily kind of nipped that in the butt before it got too crazy. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me, like, would you ever do this again? And I think it was an incredible stroke of luck to be able to string all that together and not be injured or anything like that. So I don't think lightning will strike twice. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy with that. Call it luck.
How many people online? So I'm sure you know who the Iron Cowboy is, right?
I do. Yep.
So a lot of people talk trash about him apparently because there was a couple times he had a run when he was doing the Ironmans. He did some stuff on the elliptical, and there's people talking mess about him. Did you get any of that for running on the treadmill? Like, did people try to downplay what you did because you weren't running outside?
No one commented on the treadmills. I think because most people hate the treadmill. It's more like, I can't believe you ran on the treadmill mentally, because that sounds horrible. But I mean, when you explain the situation, and also on the treadmill, I would always go like a little bit over just in case there was any discrepancy. I really made sure to like hit that, because I was like, I don't want to put this into doubt. And also, tracking off of times like outside versus inside, they were almost like exactly the same. And so it's like, okay, I feel confident that, I'm not just like running 20 miles on the treadmill and then 26 outside. Like, if they're within 5 minutes of each other and I'm running a little extra, like, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, isn't distance relative of everything? Of like, we do the best we can, but like I had 2 Garmin's running and they'd be off by a slight bit. So I would make sure the one that was lower was like the one I was using. No, I had got shit for other reasons. People would be like, this is bad for you. I had someone say that my skin looked old because I like was working too hard or whatever. I was like,
What?
I get mistaken for an 18-year-old all the time. I had someone ask if my parents signed my waiver to get a flu shot. I was like,
What?
yeah, lady, I think my skin is fine. Thank you. And then, just general people being like, it's bad for you. It's bad for your knees. Why don't you have a job? It's like, have you ever heard, well, first of all, like COVID pandemic, also never heard of like pro athletes where like your job is to run? Question mark? I don't know.
Did you get any? I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Did you get any sponsors reach out to you after doing this great accomplishment?
Yeah. I worked with a couple of companies and have kind of had some other good results this year. So yeah, that definitely brought up some good opportunities as well. So I've been lucky in that regard. But yeah.
Awesome.
That's really good. That's such a crazy accomplishment. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And as far as like documenting this and this being like an official record, what did you have to show to prove that you did all the running each day?
Yeah, so that is a marathon itself. It's part of the reason why I don't really ever want to try it again, because it's a pain in the ass. So I had to provide all of my Garmin information for every day. I had to provide witness statements every day of 2 people that were either like there or with COVID. They were a little bit more lax in like taking someone checking in on you, whether it's a phone call or a video chat, because COVID did mess things up if people couldn't be with you all the time. So I had to have 2 people vouch for every marathon I did of like, yes, I know she was doing it. I know she was running, like I can vouch for it. And then like all the media articles and all of that came out of it. Also like photos and my Instagram, I'd been like posting about it. So basically like anything that could prove that I'd done it, and also like back up from people who knew that I'd done it, whether when we were allowed to be outside, like running with other people or people I work with at the gym saying like, yes, she was doing it. So yeah, all of that paperwork took a long time.
What did your gear look like? I'm curious to know what shoes you were running with throughout this journey.
Yeah. So primarily I ran in Hoka's. Been a big fan, especially for the road. You get in those Bondies and they are cushy.
Was Bondi?
Like Bondies or Cliftons were kind of my go-to. And then I use Nathan's a sponsor of mine. So like their hydration packs or waist belts, depending on if I could like circle back easily for water. Yeah, Jaybird headphones where I crushed some audiobooks along the way. And for nutrition, I used to work with Honey Stinger for a while. I'm kind of moving in different directions, but some Honey Stinger stuff, and then a lot of Snickers bars and Red Bull were kind of.
Oh, dang, Red Bull too?
This is the Courtney Walter of her right here. Is the things that don't make sense, but make a lot of sense.
The stuff you shouldn't consume.
And Coca-Cola, Coke, Red Bull, Snickers bars.
That's funny.
That's a real thing. The Coca-Cola recovery.
The Coke is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's my secret weapon in any ultra or anything ultra or marathon that I'm struggling with. It is carbs, sugar, caffeine. Some the carbonation also helps fill your stomach. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh, Coca-Cola during?
Yeah.
I thought it was just recovery.
I've heard Floyd Mayweather talk about that, and there's also that CrossFit, where not Rich Froning, but the other guy, Matt. What's his name?
Matt Frazier.
She knows everything.
Yeah, I think he's big on Coke after, but I don't think he does it during. But
I would get. It starts regurgitating, coming out. It comes back out of my throat. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm sure it works. And Snicker bars too. Just all the high calories. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
And Snickers have again protein, carbs, fats, like perfect ratio. They're good stuff.
It's just
I don't know why Snickers doesn't market more towards runners. I mean, Killian Jornet's like best mountain runner ever. He swears by Snickers. So.
Yeah, it's just bad for the people that don't do anything.
I know. What were some of the audiobooks that you were listening to?
Yeah, so I really love biographies. So I listen to a lot of athlete biographies, like Nev, who's a marathoner. I can't think of his last name, but he's an amazing marathoner. I listened to a woman who ran around the world, so that made me feel a little bit less kind of insane. There's a British author that does adventure. She biked biked every state in the U.S. She ran the length of New Zealand. So I really love like adventure stories, and they kind of they kind of give me some assurance of like, I'm not totally insane. There's other insane people, and it's kind of fun to be like living someone else's life vicariously as well.
I like, if I run, I really like an A to B kind of thing. I like the distance and time and stuff, but we did our first like 50K from my house to like a college that's nearby. So it was like, it's kind of dangerous because we're like right on alongside of a highway. But it sounds like maybe you like the A to B stuff too. Would you ever do like a state to state or country to country or something like that to kind of, it seems like you like the record stuff, like something maybe someone hadn't done before?
Yeah, so actually I kind of just did that a bit. So there's a trail that it's actually the start of the Appalachian Mountains. It's called the Penhody Trail, and it starts in Alabama, like kind of mid-state Alabama, and then goes to northern Georgia. So it's 350 miles, and then actually you can connect it to the Appalachian Trail. So if you want to start at like the true beginning of the Appalachian Mountains, you start like at the start of the Penhody Trail. So actually like 10 days ago, 10 or 11 days ago over Thanksgiving, there was no women's supported record on the trail. And so I went down and set the women's supported record on that. And I don't know if you know Corey Waltering, he's a North Face athlete, but he holds the men's record. And I was hoping I could get as close as I could to him. So it was only about like 7 hours behind him. It took us both a little over 5 days.
Wait,
so,
hold on. I didn't know you did it. I thought you were gearing up to do it. So you already did this.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah. This morning was kind of my first like little 4 mile joggish since then.
Wow. So you did, so it was 335 miles, you said?
350.
350.
Right around there.
Yeah. And that's a different trail than the Appalachian Trail? It's a slightly different
It
one?
is.
Okay.
It is. So basically, if you looked at a topo map of the mountain range of the Appalachians, technically, like most people start in Georgia and, go to Maine. But if you really wanted to start like at the beginning of the Appalachian mountain range, you would start in Alabama at a mountain called Flag Mountain. So.
Wow. Because that's a challenge in its own. The Appalachian Trail, people try to run that in a certain amount of time too.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing, there's a famous guy, he's in the Born to Run book. He recently tried, exactly. I don't think he got it though, right?
So he got it, he did get it a few years ago, and then Carl Meltzer, whose nickname is Speed Goat, he took it the year after, and then another guy, who I think is also named Carl Sabe, also took it after that. And then Corey, who is the men's record on the Penhody, is attempting it this upcoming year. So
Gosh.
The Speed Goat, I heard a lot about. He can run like in the sixes down rocks, and he has his own Hoka shoe, right? The Speed Goat?
He does.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Crazy
He's
athletes.
Awesome.
These guys are freaks of nature.
So what's another trail that you want to do?
So I'm originally from Vermont, and I would really love to do the Long Trail, which is the length of Vermont. And then there's some pretty legendary people who have done that or tried to take it on. It is a gnarly trail. Vermont's like hilly. It's not mountainous, but it is just rocks and roots and technical muddy mess. So
God.
yeah,
So
that would be.
Have you done like the Leadville 100 and those races
and Moab and all that?
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing Moab this year.
Man, where do you get all this energy this year? Golly, you just did almost basically Appalachian Trail. That's nuts.
I guess so. It's like in a much different way, but yeah, I'm doing Moab this year. I've done the Ouray 100, which is on like part of the Hard Rock course. It's like over 40,000 feet of climbing in 100 miles.
Yeah.
So it's pretty gnarly. And then this year I'm hoping to do like one of the UTMB races, TDS. And then, Moab are kind of the two big ones. But, I've done like Hurt 100 was one of the ones. I've done the Vermont 100K. I raced quite a bit over in Europe because we lived in Italy for a couple of years. So, I would love to do Leadville. That would be awesome. And also, Texas has some amazing races that I'm kind of like itching to get down there and do.
Which one was Kenny mentioning? The
habanero
100.
Javelina, yeah.
Javelina, yeah, I heard of that one too. Yeah,
that's a good one. So my strength is more like more mountainous races versus like flat fast races. That is a super, like, you have to run really hard and fast for 100 miles to do well at it. So that's like a little out of my like comfort zone, which probably is a good thing. But I'd have to train a lot more speed for that.
Good Lord.
What about the legendary Western States? Got to get that one under your belt.
So I actually live only like 3 hours away from the race, and one day I probably will end up doing it. But like I said, it's like I'd run a race on part of it and it was fine, but it wasn't my favorite. And I think I'd rather do like focus on the UTMB races rather than Western. It just doesn't, again, it's like a super flat, like it's not flat, sorry, super fast, flatter course.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite play to my strengths as much. And so if I do it, I would want to take like a year or two really concentrating on working on my speed and working on like being really well prepared for that race. I wouldn't want to just kind of half-ass it and be like, I'll do what I can, or, try to get a qualifier. I would want to really focus on it. And right now my interests lie more in like over 100 miles and then like the more technical stuff. So yeah.
I feel like it has to be a bucket list for any ultra marathon runner because it's just so much history in that race, and it's really hard to get into now. You have to basically, it's like a raffle here, and it's like you may not, but maybe, with people like you that have a name like you do, I'm sure it's pretty easy to get in.
It's tough. There are qualifying races, actually ones in Texas, where if you place in the top 2 or 3, you get like a golden ticket, and they literally give you like this big golden ticket, like Willy Wonka, that gets you into the race. Actually, Javelina is also a qualifier, but if you you have to run races to get tickets to go into the lottery, and apparently getting in off the lottery is harder than getting into Harvard. Like
dang.
Hell of a comparison right there. Getting into Harvard.
Do you lift weights and do you swim and bike and all that stuff, or do you strictly stick to running?
No, so I do some strength training. A lot of it is body weight stuff. But actually my husband and I are big like winter mountain sport type people. So we do a thing called like ice climbing, where you have like spikes on your feet and ice tools, and we do that. And then we do ski touring, which is or like backcountry skiing. So you have skins on your skis and you climb up mountains and then go down cool couloirs and things like that. So definitely in the winter I diversify a lot more, and both of those are a lot more strength based rather than running. I mean, running mountains you have to be pretty strong, but a lot of my focus more in the winter is like, it is endurance, but it's also like fun, other stuff that requires building up some upper body strength and all of that. But in the summer, I tend to stick, spring, summer, fall are pretty heavy running for the most part.
Yeah. What, so some fire questions real quick. What is your favorite watch to wear while you run?
So I just got the Garmin Enduro, and it is unreal. It is such a good watch. It is solar. It has solar capabilities, so it lasts like during the Penhody, which is over 5 days of running nonstop. I charged it once fully and then once for like 20 minutes. So its battery life is unreal. I really like the interface of it, and also with the backcountry stuff that we do, we have an inReach with us, and it's really nice to have, like, I can connect the inReach to my watch. So, you know, if the inReach is back here and we get in trouble, I can just like hit a SOS button on my watch. Yeah, so I'm a big Garmin person. It has its flaws, but you know, we all do. Are
you do you wear socks or no socks?
Oh, socks.
Definitely socks. Yeah. Are your toes all messed up from running long distances?
Yeah, they're not great.
She picks them up. It's like
it's like a
check them out.
I did get the comment from my family. I was talking to them after I finished Penhody, and my mom goes, "I think your potential career as a foot model is now out the window." Like,
so,
Mom.
When is? I feel like you got a book coming soon, or like you might be thinking about writing a book. So when's that coming? Is that in the back of your mind?
I have almost 150 pages of it. So
you called it.
Yeah. I had someone call me out last week or earlier this week that was like, so you can run 95 marathons, but you can't finish a book. And I was like, there. I'm very called out right now. Hopefully by next summer. Yeah, wow. I'm going to throw that out there saying next summer, hopefully it'll be out.
We're going to hold you to it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We'll have you on to help promote it. What do you want to, or what's your book going to be about?
So it's primarily structured about the marathons, but it gets really freaking boring, to write about the marathons, let alone reading them, because it's like, and then I eat a Snickers bar. So it's actually kind of structured around the marathons, but then flashing back, like chapters going back and forth of just kind of how I got into ultra running and some of the races. So I've been so fortunate to be able to race and run all over the world in many ways, having lived in Europe and Hawaii and a lot of places in the U.S. So it's kind of intermixing that story, and also just, giving some more practical information, about the marathons themselves, and like, how does this happen? What do you do? Recovery stuff. Yeah. So
drink a Coke.
Yeah.
Drink a Coke. When you're crying, drink a Coke.
That's awesome. Well, I greatly appreciate you coming on the podcast, Alyssa. How can people find you on social media, your Instagram, if you're on TikTok and all that good stuff?
I resist the TikTok. I cannot add another thing.
That's too much, isn't it?
Into my life. Yeah. Also, all my students, I teach high school, and my students are all on TikTok, and I'm like, nah, we're not.
Are they constantly doing the dance moves in the hallway and all that stuff?
They do a fair amount, or I'll often get like, oh, there's this thing, I saw it on TikTok, or like, there's this movement. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Shut up about the damn TikTok already.
Yeah. But Instagram, I'm definitely an Instagrammer. My handle is theory, THEORY_in_emotions. It comes from being a foo-foo English teacher and being like, that's a theory. That's probably the one I'm most active on, and I try to respond, or like I do respond to any messages. You can always shoot me a message there. I have a website that sadly needs updating. Probably try to do that over winter break. It's AlyssaClarkRuns.com. I do have some coaching if anyone's interested in that. And yeah, you can find like my email and I think, phone number on my website too. So
awesome.
Yeah. Any questions, anything anyone wants? I love talking about running. I love talking about stickers, bars. So yeah, hit me up.
We definitely look forward to watching you expand in the sport, because you're still so young and you got plenty of years ahead of you. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for having me. This is a great, fun conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Alyssa. Bye.